Okay, so everyone knows the story. Like you've heard of Bethany Hamilton, you heard about the shark attack, you heard about this little girl who managed to take something that was so traumatic and turn it into a testimony, change the lives of millions, right? And this woman who is like we knew her as a girl, now this woman is raising her own children, and she has such a heart to help people understand not just what is possible for their lives, but also what is possible for their family. Guys, stop what you're doing. If you're driving, you don't have to pull over to the side of the road. Just turn it up. Okay. But listen, tune in. And I think you're going to be just so blessed by what we're talking about today on the Crazy Bless Show. Bethany, I am so excited to be with you today. Thank you so much for being on.
Thanks, Hannah. Stoked to be here. I'm hoping to glean some encouragement off you too.
Oh my goodness, girl, you can have whatever I got. It is yours. It is all yours. Get this favor, drip it off of me, take it. But this is so beautiful. So I have to tell you, I feel like my children have grown up with you because I remember your story, when you were a little girl and Soul Surfer came out, and truly it was just so beautiful to see your testimony then, even as a young girl. And now, with the recent documentary, Unstoppable, you basically have this trademark move, Bethany, of just plowing forward. Just say, you look at situations and you're like, hey, God, what are we going to do here? Oh, we are? Okay, let's go. And you go forward. And you're just helping a lot of people, not just like stay in their belief, but to move forward into levels that that God has for us, that next level, that grace upon grace, favor upon favor, and you're helping them. So tell me, like, how did you, right now your focus is really on families, you want to help them experience that unity. Tell me about what's going on with you. Tell me about why this new push.
Yeah, I would say, well, actually, my probably main focus is really teenage girls. I love teenage girls, and I just feel like in 2022, there's so much going against them with like the world and all the changes and devices and all the things they're just exposed to, and just a lot of stresses and like fear and anxiety and just all these different things that they're really struggling with. So I feel like that's where my place is really is for them. And
Yeah.
so more recently, like my family or my husband and I have been working towards creating something just really meaningful. So we
Yeah.
started off with creating like these life courses to help empower people to live like unstoppable, because I've had this theme of unstoppable in my life. And that was what my documentary was named. And we're like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And we didn't really like rock the marketing of them, I would say. So then it kind of like we still utilize them within what we're doing, but now we're doing like mother-daughter mentorship programs where both the moms and daughters are encouraged.
Yeah.
And my mom has been such a rock in my life. And so I want that for these young girls to like bring that bond back together, because I feel like moms and daughters probably have a lot of just tension between each other and just misunderstanding, poor communication, like just so much like tearing them apart. And I don't know, my mom was just so amazing. And while we didn't always see eye to eye, we always maintained a really like beautiful relationship. And some of our adventures we did growing up really just created this lifelong bond. And even to this day, she's like still a mentor of mine. And so kind of helping be a catalyst to bring moms back together with their daughters, but also for me to speak into their daughters' lives and be like, hey, these are the choices I made that got me to where I am today.
Yeah.
And they were faith-based and just, very proactive. And like, I guess I had this professional athlete drive.
You definitely do, Bethany.
And so just being able to share that with these girls and get them thinking beyond their like teenage drama.
Oh, drama
It's
is right.
literally so amazing. Like literally it's like just life-changing and just so fun to be a part of for me, but also just to see that like, okay, what we're doing is working, and like the moms are like, I want more. And so
Oh,
yeah, I'm just honored and just so excited to be a part of their lives and just to share God with them and just be an encouragement on like so many different levels. But yeah, I think just getting the teenage girls more critically thinking about like what they're seeing in the world and how they can choose to live their life like in the world, but not like have to be a part of all the things that
Right.
actually bring them down, but they can be a light and a ray of sunshine, and they can like push through their fears, anxieties, pressures, and just still be full of joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have 4 daughters, and I mean, I consider we're like best friends, and I'm so grateful. I remember the other day, this was like last week, my daughter came to me and she said, Mom, one of my friends just posted about how much they hate their body.
Oh,
And I know it breaks your heart, Bethany, because this is what we see. This is
yeah.
what we see with like teen girls. So she said she posted that she hates her body. And I was like, oh, that precious girl, that's so sad. I was like, how did you respond? Because I thought she was coming to me with like, how do I handle this? How do I help her? But she's like, well, I mean, I know how to respond to that, but Mom, I've never thought that. And I
Oh,
was like, that's so beautiful. And she's like, no, even the idea of hate toward my body, like from everything that you've taught me, I couldn't even like create that feeling ever. And it's so heartbreaking to know that so many girls are feeling that way. I'm like, first of all, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Like, thank you,
yeah.
Jesus, that is her, that is where she is, spiritually.
Oh,
But also it just seeing my kids, like, see, I have 2 daughters in their 20s, 2 daughters in their teens, and just seeing what they are constantly bombarded with. Like, they are just, I feel like the enemy has, like, they've targeted these young girls to make them powerless, to make them so critical of themselves, to make them
yeah.
like hate themselves and try to go for this false power. And it's just like heartbreaking to see how many young girls are under attack and how many of these young girls have to do it in silence because they don't feel that connection with their moms, of that intimacy, and being real with them and being open without any judgment. And the idea of this, what you're doing for mothers and daughters, I think is so needed more now than ever before, especially like all the post COVID and all the recent like cultural trends and everything. It's just chaotic. It is so chaotic out there for young girls. And you're giving them a place, and those moms a place to go to where they can develop that relationship and nurture that relationship. Because like
Yeah.
every mom needs a mom too.
For sure. And that makes me think is like a lot of the moms they aren't equipped themselves to care for their own body and their own health. So how could they even begin to help their teenage daughter?
Yeah.
So yeah, we talk about health and just kind of encourage them in that because I'm like a super health nerd and I've just
Yeah.
learned a lot in that area. And I just think like you got to have your health in order to like get all the other things done, like love well, like charge and do your passions and just like make the most of life. And so that's a integral part of what we kind of cover. And then yeah, we finish off surfing in Hawaii. So everyone's just like put on the spot, like gotta like challenge themselves to surf out in the ocean, like the moms with the daughters. And
Oh,
that's for sure the
beautiful.
highlight. But yeah, just seeing some of the moms like with their arms up, like after like trying to get up on their board like 5-10 times, and then they finally pop up and like ride it all the way to the beach and like show their daughters that they're cool and they can do it. And it's just
Yes.
been like so cool. But yeah, I have compassion for sure for teenage girls, and like
Yeah.
the diet culture world is really gnarly and invasive
Girl.
and unhealthy. And so yeah, I'm glad I'm on the other side of that. Like I've definitely struggled with that. And like as a professional athlete, you're under so much pressure to like have your fitness in order and like just, be in your A game. And I actually think athletes have like some of the highest pressures that, anyone may have. And so I've kind of been through that ringer, and thankfully I've always approached it with like more of a health forward approach, but I would say I didn't really figure it out until around my 30s. I'm only 32 now, but like
Yeah.
it took me a good what is it, 17 years to figure it out. Cause my passion began as a teenager to like
Yeah.
want to know my health and like
Yeah.
figure it out. But there was a little journey to get there.
I'm sure there was. Like, I'm in my 50s, and something that's very important for me is health and making sure that you have the energy, because we, like, if you think about it, all the things that we desire in life, like if it's like, oh, I want to have the house and I want to have the family and I want to have the money, if we feel like crap, like we can't enjoy any. You can have this amazing European vacation if you like are struggling to take a breath when you're walking up a flight of stairs. It's not going to be enjoyable. And so I think that's so beautiful that you're integrating that in a healthy way, because what these kids, what these young girls are bombarded with is so much toxic thought around their bodies, around their clothes, around the messages they're putting out. And it's just like, it's almost like they can't win, there's just, they're under such restriction. They're under such all these thoughts around their body, that when they can just realize the beauty of who they are and the freedom of being happy in your body and treating it as God's temple, man, it's just like you see like almost this shroud of restriction just lifted off of these children, off of these young women. And it's just so amazing. So that's beautiful that you include health in that, because we want to live a vibrant life. We want to live a full life, and health is a vital part of that. But what do you think is what is it that stands in between this relationship? Like the relationship that I have with my daughters I know it is not common. Like what is common is the estrangement, is the, you don't understand me. I don't understand you. You don't get me. I don't feel open with you, all of that. And there's like almost like this tug of war going on. Why do you think now? Why do you think that's happening with mothers and daughters now?
Well, I think there's a lot going on, but it probably starts in that like tween season where they kind of like mothers lose that communication openness with their daughters. I don't know. You tell me. I would love to hear.
I have my theories.
Yeah, but I would say it's probably beginning in those years. And also, I mean, I think devices play a huge role in that too. And so having like a healthier boundaries with devices and being more open, like to talk to your mom about that.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I feel like it's almost this generation where the parents didn't realize like what was coming upon them. Like I was like the last generation who had like a normal teenage life. Like my adventures were in the ocean from like 12 to 17, 19. Like I was playing in the ocean with my girlfriends, like diving for shells, jumping off rock cliffs, like just in full adventure mode. And my mom was just stoked to like let me charge. And she would like get me to the beach. Well, until I got my license, she would get me to the beach. So she just spent a lot of time with me. I think that's probably one of the biggest things is spending time.
Right.
Like it's almost like moms forget that they need to actually like invest time in their daughters' lives. And so having quality time that's like full focused on the daughter.
That's so beautiful.
Like my mom, she was just so invested in my life, and she still is to this day. And like I see her as a grandma and I'm like, oh my gosh, grandma goals. Like she is totally invested, and she gets that like they need her time, and there's nothing that can replace that. So I think part of like our program is just it opens this space to like it's one-on-one mom and daughter, like no one else, and it's them two like creating this time, and also opening up a lot of conversation and a lot of uncomfortable conversations that maybe as a mom, like your personality is like, I'm too scared to talk about that, like that's too much for me, and like you kind of put it on the back burner and then you forget about it and then it never happens, and then the daughter is like alone in the world with these like major subjects that are like super overwhelming and hard. And so it's kind of creating this openness and this opportunity. Like I'm almost the catalyst to be like, hey, like, let's talk about this. And it's okay. It's not weird,
It's okay. It's okay. It's like everything's
Yeah.
allowed here. Everything's okay. This is a beautiful space to share it.
Yeah. And my mom just like, we've been on rad adventures. So I'm trying to like inspire the moms to just like do fun things with their daughters. And I feel like when there's a lightheartedness to life and like just a genuine, like good time together, then it creates more of an open space to be a part of each other's lives.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Bethany. That's so what would you say? Like, let's say a mom is just, I want to connect with my daughter, but I don't even know how to. Like, I'm sure there are people who get into, they find out about your program, they get in there and they just desire a relationship with their daughter, but they feel like it's impossible. Like, what would you tell them?
Ooh, well, I would say I don't have all the answers, but I feel like watching films together or kind of creating a special space to go and do something together is like maybe a good start, but maybe daughter's kind of resisting it and you just be like, hey, for my birthday, this is what I want to do. I want to spend time with you. And so can you please like dedicate this time to come hang with mama and like create a special like space where it's just you two.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, from my experience, like sometimes when we feel distant from someone, we continually like push them away even further. And
Yeah.
so you kind of have to break that push. You got to like bring in love and openness and like just, intentional time to like slowly recover that bond. And so it may not come overnight, but just starting somewhere and getting intentional and getting consistent. And I'm also like praying and like asking God to guide you and just know that it might not be easy, but you're going to get there if you are persistent.
Mm.
And also just trying to understand your daughter and where she's at and just like take her in as she is. Maybe she has a lot more in her life that because you haven't been maybe as present. So maybe there's a lot you don't know about. And so being like willing to like just embrace her as she is.
Yeah.
And just start small. But I
Yeah.
even like I'm not like trying to promote myself, but maybe figuring out who she admires too and like bringing up conversations about that person. So you can like kind of find, like you could look up me, for example, and be like, wow, look at this girl and like what she's done with her life. And like just find like little catalysts to open up conversations with her that maybe will interest her. I don't know. You gotta find things that like interests your teenager. I don't know. I don't have teenagers yet, so I'm not there yet. And we definitely are bringing in like experts that like focus on different subjects because I'm like, I don't have all the answers, but I'm almost like the catalyst, I guess, to like invite them in and be like, hey, like, let's hear what this girl has to say.
That's beautiful. No, that's beautiful. That's, in the Bible, it says that in the midst of counselors, there's safety, right? And so we always want to like navigating the waters of motherhood with teens. I have always loved every stage of my kids' lives. Like when people were like, oh, those toddlers, I'm like, don't you put that on me. Like my toddlers are going to be fun. When people are like, oh, those teenage years, I'm like, don't put that on me. These teenagers are going to be fun. And sure enough, my perception became reality because I have always had such a great time with my kids. It's been like a fun adventure. Like, now I said, they're in their 20s and teens, and I have grandkids, but it's always been such a beautiful adventure. And I really think that your perception does become reality. Like however you see this, if you see it as, oh, this is going to be hard, it will definitely be hard. But if you see this as, you know what, God wants me and my child to have a beautiful relationship. That makes him happy. And that is part of that abundant life that Jesus said in John 10:10, I've come that you may have life in abundance to the full till it overflows. That means your family. That means that relationship you have with your children. And when you trust that he's got a plan for you, then you can be like, you know what? It doesn't matter. Right now, I'm going to stay in that place where I know I love my kids, they love me, and we love to spend time together, that we're best friends. And I feel like with that perception, really a lot of that reality just starts to take place.
Yeah, I'm definitely in this season of like, I'm still a new mother. My oldest is 7, I would say. And I'm like just trying to sponge up, like, how can I navigate this the best I can? And I'm definitely aware that like, I don't want to hear a lot of, I don't know, these mainstream comments towards parenting. I'm
Don't
almost
listen
like,
to it. Close your
ew,
ears.
that's
Close your ears.
gross. Like, stay away from me. And yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with my boys. Like, I'm just kind of continuing the same life I've always loved, adventuring and being in nature. But with them, my 7-year-old's like a little surfer boy now. So that's really fun. Like, he's like really stoked on it. He just wants to go surf. And I'm like, we go to bed. Like, what are you thankful for? And he's like, waves.
Oh my gosh. Don't you just love it? Like when he says that, a little part of you leaps in joy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm totally got that. Like, yes, mommy can still surf if my children love surfing. Of course, I'm sure he'll find his other passions that he's stoked on, but I'm glad we have one mutual passion going thus far.
That is so beautiful.
But yeah, and then I wanted to say something. You were like rambling. Oh, I was thinking like too, like God's grace is sufficient for us. And so I think if we're coming out of a season where we're just like, oh my gosh, I might have made some mistakes. Like I didn't really like approach this how I wished I would have. Like, I think like God's gift to us is forgiveness. Like he calls that on our life continually. And so recognizing that the Lord, his grace is sufficient for us, and that can carry us forward, and not like beating ourselves up about, mistakes of the past or even in the future, like, and just being able to forgive yourself, forgive others is just it's been so key in my life, in my marriage, in my family kind of dynamics, and now in motherhood too. And I'm just so grateful to have that kind of understanding that, we're not going to be perfect. And so, but the Lord is there for us to carry us forward and give us the strength and to forgive us and help us just keep going. And I always love to, one more verse I just wanted to add to what you said. John 16:33, I have said these things to you that in me you will have peace, but in the world you will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world. And I love this because it's ultimately like God has already done it for us. And so while we will have trouble in the world, we can also go through that trouble with God's peace. And that has been such a blessing in my life. And I'm hoping that the moms and daughters will hear that and think, well, I can have that too. And I'm a beloved daughter of God, whether I'm a mother or a daughter. And so his peace is mine. And so I think when we have our focus on God, then when all the other hard challenges or mistakes we've made over the years, the different things we're dealing with or overcoming or just trying to navigate, like we have that peace of the Lord to carry us through.
Oh, so powerful. Because some people will say, well, Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble, and they stop it there. It's like, well, wait, you left out the best part.
Yeah, in me you will have peace. Take heart, I have overcome the world. I love the first half though, because it's like the reality is we are going to have trouble, but not to stop there and get overwhelmed by that, but more of like, okay, that's part of life. But the best part of life is like, but in me you will have peace. Take heart, I have overcome the world on your behalf. And so beautiful. It's just so such a blessing.
And Bethany, what you said there is, you said we don't stop there, and that basically like sums up like that unstoppable attitude. It's like, well, no, we don't stop when it's hard. We don't stop when there's adversity or when there's trouble. No, because we know on the other side of that, it's like, but hey, in me you have peace because I have overcome the world. It's so beautiful. So I want to make sure everyone who's listening or watching right now, they know where to get more about you and more about your program for mothers and daughters. So let them know where they can go to get some of that information.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah. Well, I'm on social medias at Bethany Hamilton. And if y'all want a film to watch with your family, my documentary is it's Unstoppable, Bethany Hamilton. And it kind of captures me from childhood to motherhood. And so if you want to check that out, it's been such a cool project to share and put out there and just share my journey. And then otherwise, I have a website, bethanyhamilton.com, a lot of free resources there. And then also our Ohana Mother-Daughter program is on there as well. So I'm just inviting you to be, encouraged by my story in one way or another. And I'm cheering y'all on to overcome the challenges that the world throws our way, and just to know that you're loved, you're forgiven, and there's peace in God. And so,
So beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Bethany. And it's true. Like when you keep going, when you become unstoppable, I truly believe that's when you find out that you are blessed like crazy.